But then all of this crumbled down. And soon after the cancellation of the mission, my focus moved from my engineer person disappointment to the thought of Russian engineers co-located in Europe for the last testing who didn't have access to their bank accounts.
Wow.
They were totally isolated.
Hello, everyone. This is the Space Cafe podcast, and I'm Marcus. So almost to the day, 2 years ago, I happened to visit ESTEC, and that's the European Space Agency's testing center in the Netherlands. And I happened to come across a replica of a Mars rover from the ExoMars mission. And I was accompanied by no other than Ian Carnelli, who was then the director and mission manager of the spectacular Hera planetary defense mission. And while we walk past that rover, he tells me, well, this little bugger has quite a story to tell. And I'm like, okay, ExoMars, I know a little bit about it, but what's the story? And he said, well, you should ask someone from that team, but I can only tell you so much. ExoMars was poised to fly to Mars, get deployed, and drill almost 2.5 meters, the deepest hole ever on Mars, into Martian soil for obvious reasons. Overall, this was a mission getting put together over decades and years of frustration and technical setbacks and shifting global alliances and a last-minute, unbelievable political crisis that grounded the overall mission just weeks shy before its launch. And so I was like, okay, I need to know more about what happened during those moments and why Rosalind Franklin, that's the name of the rover, has a future and a very near future, because the mission is ready to get a second chance. So without further ado, my friends, I have the mission project manager, Sara Melloni, at the European Space Agency's Mission Control Center, ESOC, in Germany. And she's been part of that fateful mission from the get-go, and she has a fantastic story to tell. So, without further ado, let's welcome Sara Melloni to the Space Cafe podcast studio. And by the way, if you want to share something, suggest a guest, share comments or episode feedback, please do so at podcast@SpaceWatch.Global. Now, without further ado, let's go.
So basically, it was a cooperation between the European Space Agency and Roscosmos, that is the Russian space agency. Back then, the mission was, so as you know, interplanetary satellites have the feature of being modular, because they have to perform a couple of functions that are different throughout the mission. So
it's like different stages.
Yes, they have modules that are connected to one another. In particular, for ExoMars, we have to bring a rover on Mars, right? And that was also the case before. In order to bring a rover on Mars, we needed a lander. And to land a lander, we needed an entry capsule. To carry the capsule to Mars, we needed a carrier module. So it's a carrier module attached to an entry capsule that contains inside a lander and a rover inside. So this satellite was, this modular satellite was developed in cooperation between the European Space Agency and Roscosmos. Namely, the carrier module was European, and so is right now, and so was the rover, whereas the part of the entry capsule and the landing module that stores the rover inside was heavily developed by the Russian Space Agency. And it was all fine, except
How far into the mission was that in 2019?
Back then, we were basically preparing for the ground testing of the spacecraft. I don't know if you know that before launching a spacecraft to space, of course, there are many tests that are performed on the spacecraft in terms of mechanical and software and structural loads.
You mean like the vibration and the temperature chamber?
Yes, all these. Okay. But we don't deal with these things. We are a ground operations center. So what we connect to the on-Earth spacecraft for is to check the connectivity to the spacecraft. So we have special equipment on ground, which is able to simulate the piece of the ground station to connect to the space. So even if the spacecraft is on ground, we can very realistically test the connection to the spacecraft. And then once we connect to the spacecraft, then we test the commands that we're supposed to send to the spacecraft during the real. So on ground, to prepare for a launch, we have to prepare not just for the operations not just for the sequence of commands that we're gonna send to the spacecraft, but we also have to prepare the ground segment for that. So how do we send the command to a spacecraft? We sit at the desk with real computers. We need an internet connection. We need a mission control system on these computers that is allowing us to have a human interface and is capable of encoding commands and decode telemetry. And then we need special connections to the ground stations, and those stations have to radiate commands and receive telemetry. All these things have to be tested before we launch, and not just tested, they have to be developed. In some cases, there can be some special functions that the mission needs and other missions don't have, so that a dedicated development might be needed. And therefore then we have to develop those bits. And then once it's developed, we have to integrate those bits into the scheme of the rest. So all of this leads to have not just an operational ground segment, but also to the flight control team and to the people who are working in these systems to get used to both the mission and to the systems that they're going to have to operate. But then there is this last phase, that is in which we are put under stress. So a phase in which we simulate the realistic launch and realistic phases of the mission. And that's called the simulation campaign. And in that phase, we have everything looks like it's real. But on the other side of our computers, there are no real signals from the spacecraft. There is a simulator attached. And there is a simulator team behind all of that is ingesting anomalies of all sorts.
This must be a fun job to do, to give you problems and then watch you sweat and solve those problems.
Yes.
Who would you rather be with? The one causing the issues and watching the others find solutions, or the solution person? Who would you rather be?
So the perpetrator or the
Exactly.
I quite enjoyed so far to be on the side of the person who solves problems. After all, I'm an engineer, so I love problems and I love to solve them.
Fantastic. So you did get through that testing. Did it come out okay? Did it work out?
No, we
properly?
didn't go through that. We were barely starting. That was our last.
So you
4
were
months.
barely. Okay, go ahead. And you're making it very interesting.
Right, we finished with the whole ground segment was ready for us to sit at our consoles and go through hell for 4 months, so that the full mission control team would be then certified for launch. Everything is verified, everything is tested, but the people
I ask?
are not.
I'm sorry. One quick question. You said to go through hell for 4 months. Does that mean that testing is a real-time testing?
Yes.
Wow. So you would test that mission for 4 months?
No, we sit every week or every other week.
Okay.
Couple of times, and we simulate like real time. We stay there for 8 hours.
Okay.
And we are exposed to a certain phase of the mission. Sometimes the same phase repeats with different scenarios behind, like with different problems. But what I missed to say is that the ground segment was ready, but it's the certification of the people that was missing. Like presumably everybody is ready because we got all the way to there. But that is the mandatory piece to say, right, we are fully ready because the people have passed through that and they have verified their pieces of paper, their procedures, they're also working together. They tested how they work together in a realistic environment.
Okay. So you didn't have that certification, but you were in fact ready. And then what? What happened next?
What happened next is that, there was a massive political occurrence, say. So Russia underwent special operations in Ukraine. And so after careful consideration, our Director General decided to suspend the cooperation with the Russian Space Agency.
Wow. What did that mean for the mission?
The mission was basically put on hold and then closed down, which means that we had to clean up all the status of, all the open issues, so to say, they had to be evaluated and well documented so that in the future, should the mission be resumed, we wouldn't be totally lost in what was the status of the open issues, so to say, and the rest, everything that was concluded was already all clean and ready to be archived and be resumed further on. But what happened?
This is crazy. I mean, you were so close. I mean, how long has that mission been in development?
Of course, the internet tells you that the first ExoMars mission was 2016, which was our trace gas orbiter. That is our orbiter, right? But it was launched in 2016. So it takes at least 10 years to develop a mission like that.
Yeah. Sara, that means after you were very close to launch, and then suddenly that conflict between Russia and Ukraine, that one-sided conflict started, and that caused your mission to be put on hold. How did you get notice of this? Did you get an email?
We first got communication from the lower chains. Our direct bosses started to tell us about what could the scenarios be. But then everybody was skipping the most reserve in order not to divulgate any information until the Director General would really pronounce his words. And those were pronounced through a video, through an official announcement.
Wow, how does that feel? I mean, this is all you have done for years.
Yeah, it was quite defeating, I have to say. I do tend to look also at the human side of my work, because our work, despite what it might sound, I mean, we are all engineers or physicists and science people. You might think that we are all the time in our offices typing in programs or not. numbers of our work that is interaction with other people, not just here, but also with other stakeholders, with industry development, with, in that case, also with Roscosmos, the engineers in the other space agency. So it's like, wow, okay, we are moving away from this extended family, right?
Wow.
And
that extended family has been around for a while. I mean, like, that was a very fruitful and working partnership between European Space Agency and Roscosmos.
It had its up and downs. Of course, I mean, when you cooperate, you need to get used also to the cultural differences, even in terms of work approach. Yeah, so it's like we got used to each other, and that was really, really rewarding. It's like, but then all of this crumbled down, and for me, I don't know. I mean, soon after the cancellation of the mission, I started, like, I mean, my focus moved from my engineer person disappointment to the thought of, I mean, we had like Russian engineers co-located in Europe for the last testing who didn't have access to their bank accounts.
Wow.
Like they were totally isolated from a day to another.
And I could imagine that there is no politics between colleagues, maybe, in an ideal world. So I could imagine that you feel for and with your Russian counterparts during those moments.
Yes. Yes, you can put yourself in their shoes and imagine if that would happen to you. I mean, that's, that even for them, it goes beyond the cooperation, the mission. It's just their life is all of a sudden changing.
Wow.
And they find themselves on, let's say, back then we couldn't know, but on the wrong side of history all of a sudden because of something that politics decided, and you're just a scientist.
A passenger.
You're with all your heart into cooperation, and you don't care who's on the other side, which nationality they have. But all of a sudden, something bigger than you is imposed onto that.
Wow. That's beautifully described, really beautiful. And then your Russian colleagues are starting to pack their things and leave the country, I guess.
Yes. Not just the colleagues. At some point, we had to return also the hardware.
Wow.
Which was only recently achieved because it was so complicated it was so intertwined, that the satellite was put together and it was ready for launch, and we had to take apart the Russian components after it was decided that the mission would take another chance. But to take apart Russian components without damaging either the Russian components or the European ones, it was a very difficult engineering challenge.
Wow. Where, stupid question maybe, but where was the hardware, the lander, stored in the meantime? Is there a storage room for unused space hardware?
Oh, unused. It's unused, but had to be kept in a clean area because it was ready for space.
So you had to reserve a clean room for all those years?
Yes, to some extent, yes. So the satellite was in Turin, and it was ready for shipment. And then it was taken apart. So the carrier module could be taken apart, and actually it was a protected area. The rover had to be kept into a clean room for a while. I don't remember this exactly. I don't want to say things that are not exact, but there is a chance that at the beginning everything had to be kept stored in the clean room, and then only a subset of it.
This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. So, a mission in limbo. What does a highly specialized crew of engineers and scientists do in the meantime until politics decides to resolve their issues or not resolve their issues after such a long time?
So we have a pragmatic approach to that. So the mission was closed, so formally closed. For future,
closed means terminated.
Terminated, yes.
Wow.
So everything was archived and properly archived for future reuse. Back then, it wasn't clear whether we would have partnered with another agency, and therefore the member states were not. We didn't know whether the member states would have supported it. You know how ESA works, right? We're carrying on space programs,
of course,
with investments of the member states. So the most reasonable thing to do was to dismember the flight control team and the mission control team, and to repurpose those engineers to other missions. So I got myself onto another mission.
What mission was that?
Earth Return Orbiter, MSR, Mars Sample and Return, Earth Return Orbiter. I don't know.
But that was an exciting mission.
Oh yeah. Yes, it is a very exciting mission. It's one of the most complicated missions, complex missions that ESA is developing.
Sometimes I feel like you're all miracle workers. Because I remember, of course, this was only a minor involvement of the European Space Agency, but still there was, during the deployment of the James Webb Telescope, Space Telescope, all those mechanisms that had to fall into place, and each mechanism not falling into place would have canceled or terminated the entire mission. So this is all very close to being a miracle, how all those things work. Maybe this is why you're doing that testing for such a long time and that very intense double checking, I guess.
I don't know if you've watched the biomass antenna deploying.
No.
It's a huge umbrella made of thousands of wires, very thin wires. I suggest you to watch it. It's amazing.
Where can we watch it?
YouTube, on the ESA, as well on the ESA page.
So we go look for biomass ESA deployment?
Biomass antenna deployment, yeah. Biomass antenna deployment.
Okay, cool.
Yes, but there's only so much that we can test on ground. Because we have to simulate zero gravity. And in case of deployments, let's say.
How do you simulate zero gravity on Earth?
You have to. Okay, there are anti-gravity chambers, but for big mechanisms, there are. So you don't want to put your whole system into an anti-gravity chamber necessarily. What you might want to do is to test a part of it, like a deployment of solar arrays, and then you need. Okay, I'm not an expert on this field, right?
No worries. You just tell me when it's when you do not want to talk anymore about these things.
Yeah, so you devise anti-gravity systems, so basically lifters, right? And but so in the case of biomass, the mechanism is so complex that those anti-gravity devices were not exactly not perfectly tuned, and they were actually overcompensating for gravity. So when the thing happened for real, the deployment went too fast.
Huh.
And the spacecraft realized of that, and it started flagging errors.
Wow. How does that feel in the control room?
I know I think my colleagues were a bit concerned, yeah. But thankfully, it's an Earth orbiting spacecraft, so you have very frequent contacts.
Mm. Do you actually, like the folks in the control room, get psychological training?
Those are the 4. That's what you get in those 4 months of hell.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
But you are on this, so everything looks real. You are in the mission control room, right? Only sitting
the
there.
one behind you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So even sitting there conveys to you like a feeling of, right, I am at the patibule. I am in a magic place where the Rosetta mission was launched, where the biggest milestones of the European Space Agency in terms of launches were achieved, right? You can't see it, but like what you would have, maybe see it, those black panels right there. You don't see them populated from this angle, but so if you're looking at those screens, in your back, there are blackboards with the name of each mission that was launched and the year in which it was launched, and that's put there after the launch.
Wow!
So basically, you are in a museum, right? In an active museum. So sitting there, that's okay, right? This is real. We are getting there.
And this is part of history in the making.
Yes. And then you're sitting there with your big screens and like the real control system, and you get a briefing at the beginning of the day where you are told in which phase of the mission we are. Like they lay down the rules of the game, right? And then you go into the room, and then the game starts, and we don't know who is gonna get what is gonna get an anomaly, and who is, of course, therefore responsible for tackling it. And at the end of the day, we get a debrief where the simulator officer tells us basically who did well. No, they tell us which anomalies they ingested and which anomalies were spotted.
Are anomalies usually resolved?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
are you actually?
But we are not.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
We are not resolving the anomalies by ourselves necessarily. So the people who sit in that room are just a subset of the mission control team. Those are the flight control team engineers and the representatives of I don't know, the ground stations or the mission control system software. And so when there is an anomaly, normally a big anomaly, first thing we do is we check whether the spacecraft is safe and stable. And if that's the case, we collect all the information in a bunch of 10 minutes, and we have to leave the room with all those information. We go to like a brainstorming room where also the other people from the mission control team join. And we sit there and we troubleshoot what we observed, and we collectively come up with the reason why this could have occurred. And when the reason is found and everybody is happy with that, as in we listen to everybody, right? As in, if there's concern that this might not be the only cause or the cause, everybody can speak up. And we take that into consideration. And only when all our doubts are cleared and we reasonably think that this is the real cause of the problem, with the cause of the problem, we can lay down the recovery plan. We write down the recovery plan, And if it's envisaged in our recovery procedures, we just apply them. But there are also cases in which we didn't foresee this type of anomaly, and then we have to write a new recovery plan.
Is there a replica of any space hardware on Earth you can test solutions with?
Yes. Yes, but whenever it's a very pertinent question, because indeed the solution we test typically on a simulator.
Yes.
Because most of our problems can be resolved by addressing the software of the spacecraft. So with a simulator, normally it's enough. But we also have engineering models on ground. Those are the twins of the launch spacecraft. That's the case for large missions. So the most complex and most expensive ESA missions, they have so two models are developed.
Okay.
And
so I could imagine that if you have hardware on the ground somewhere on Mars or another celestial body for mechanical problems, I could imagine that someone may want to look into a replica.
Yes.
But please do correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes. Those replicas, they often come to ESOC. We have them in ESOC, but they are beasts and they have to be powered externally because the solar panels are, of course, not providing energy. And it's very complex to switch them on and get them to work, as opposed to the simulator. It's just a piece of software. It's there. So there has to be a really good reason to test something on the engineering model on ground.
Fantastic. Let's go back to the ExoMars mission. Tell us a little bit about its scientific mission and goal.
Yeah, so the ExoMars Rover mission has primarily objective to look for biomarkers on Mars. So to investigate whether there are any signs of actual or past life.
In the atmosphere or on the ground?
So the ExoMars program foresees, as you know, two pieces. One was launched in 2016, and that is the ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter. That's an orbiter around Mars that embarks a suite of payloads that are aimed at taking pictures of Mars, but also analyzing the atmosphere of Mars. TGO has a key objective to be a relayer. So it's like our special antenna around Mars that relays the signals from the rovers when they are not, you don't necessarily have a direct path, line of sight from the rover on Mars to Earth. Yes, you often need to relay your data.
Yeah.
And the second piece of the ExoMars mission is the rover. So the idea is to do in situ exploration on Mars. In the first incarnation of the ExoMars rover mission, that was called RSP, Rover Surface Platform. So rover surface platform, it had two pieces. The surface platform is the landing module, but that one had also scientific instruments on it. Those were Russian scientific instruments. In the new incarnation of the mission, the platform doesn't have scientific instruments on board. So science is done only by the rover.
Wow. So it didn't have, or it doesn't have those instruments because it was Russian instruments. Why couldn't we just develop that and substitute for the Russian missing parts?
Because we wanted to launch in a reasonable time after cancellation of the mission.
Okay.
So we wanted to keep it simple and already to redesign the landing module. So from the moment in which was decided to continue, like beginning 2024. The lead time is to launch in 2028. So lead time is 4 years. In 4 years, these people are developing a new landing module, testing it, and getting ready for launch. That's all based on...
this is, in fact, the more I think about it, truly breathtaking that these scientific instruments are so highly specialized that it's next to impossible to replicate them and build them somewhere else within reasonable time. So this is all very, very specialized stuff we're talking about here.
Yes, and also you need to, it's not just about the instrument itself, you need to get scientists and not just engineers, right? You need very specialized people to
operate.
Not just to operate them, but also to think what they want to do. I mean, to decide what type of science you want to do and how, and then devise the machine.
So that means that there are now empty slots on the rover?
No, not on the rover, on the surface. So it's a surface platform that doesn't have...
Absolutely
those,
right.
So there are no empty spots. It has been redesigned. But yes, it has been redesigned in a simpler way. So right now it only embarks the rover and a couple of instruments that are detecting, analyzing a bit the Mars atmosphere during the descent and the vibrations and the sounds, and some cameras to take videos and pictures during the descent and once it's landed. So most of the science is on board. I say the science is on board of the rover, the science of Mars. Also, another big change from RSP to RFM, so Rover Surface Platform, to the new mission that is called Rosalind Franklin. Mission is the fact that the landing platform doesn't have solar panels, so it is not autonomous. And this drives. So this is a big change also on an operational side, because without solar panels, it means that we rely on batteries that once depleted, done.
And the reason is, why are there no solar panels?
For simplicity.
Okay. Interesting.
And
I mean, like simplicity, yes, I understand, but isn't it also maybe not 100% efficient? Because I mean, like if I had solar panels with me, I could perhaps elongate the mission for months or years.
Yes, but if you don't have science instruments on board,
makes no sense.
Makes no sense. I mean, it's a trade-off what they did, and so. But the counter side of that is that we have a ticking clock to get the rover out as soon as possible before the platform dies.
How long do you have for that?
2 days and a half.
Wow. 2 days and a half. I like that already. That's the title of the documentary that will be made about it. 2 days and a half. That puts a little drama to it.
Yes. So literally is 2.3 sols that are the days on Mars. A day on Mars is 40 minutes longer than a day on Earth. So it's roughly 2 days and a third plus 120 minutes.
Sorry if I'm asking stupid questions, but if someone, how are those ground platforms or hardware, space hardware, designed in the first place? Because if someone came around on Mars and had fuel cells, would this person or this whoever it is be able to breathe new life into the ground module because it could just change the batteries? Or are those batteries hidden somewhere?
I believe it's a very technical question. As in, I don't know whether the batteries are extremely hidden. I don't know. But if they would be accessible, then you should also consider whether so either you replace the battery, but to use the same battery that hasn't been conditioned for a while. It's like, when you pick up your old P3.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So you mentioned the descent moment. So we all remember the brilliantly made video called 7 Minutes of Terror. So descending on a celestial body, especially Mars, is still a tricky thing to do and to pull off. Is this something, because humanity has done it now like a couple of times, so do we have that experience that it is becoming routine, or is that mission trying something new?
As European Space Agency, we have never demonstrated surface capabilities because we have never demonstrated to be able to soft land. We can land, but we crash.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but now we have a lot of data from Schiaparelli. That was the precursor. So TGO had on board a demonstrator lander, a capsule with the lander inside, and that collected data throughout the descent, and those data we retrieved, and that's how we analyzed the problem, and we reconstructed so what happened, and that's how we gain confidence in the next mission. But so far it's only NASA and the Chinese Space Agency that managed to land successfully a rover and operate it on Mars.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I could imagine that this, if I were in the control room, this would drive me crazy because there's nothing you can do. I would need psychological support through all of this, sitting there and waiting for a signal.
Yes. But we are kind of used to not being able to react. Like our satellites, interplanetary satellites, have this feature of having high one-way light time in the communication path. So, when we will be around Mars distance, we will have up to 20 minutes of delay in the signal. So that's, like if you send a command to the spacecraft,
it takes a while.
It reaches it 20 minutes after, and by the time you know whether it worked, it's 20 minutes.
So it's
again.
40 minutes.
It's 40 minutes. And by the time you can react, it's another 20 minutes. Assuming that as soon as you see the information, you know exactly what to send.
Exactly.
And that also assumes that you have direct communication with the rover, because normally you need to go through TGO. So it's so that's why we are not we're not reacting immediately. We cannot react immediately, and that's also the reason why we have to plan everything. And that's also the reason why the interplanetary spacecraft has have a very high level of autonomy.
Autonomy meaning, like, we live in the age of artificial intelligence on a consumer level. Are we talking about artificial intelligence on a highly specialized technical level in those spacecraft?
No, we are not yet talking about artificial intelligence on board. We are talking about deterministic reactions to a set of pre-planned possible anomalies.
Paths.
Yeah, paths, which typically involve switch over to the redundant unit, rebooting of the software, switching over to a different acquisition chain completely, and in some cases, changing of attitude of the spacecraft in order to suspend. So to change from the attitude it used to have to perform whatever thing it was performing before. It could have been science or communication to Earth, and go and look at the sun and point in an optimal way the solar panels to the sun.
This is really interesting because, we're all used to watching science fiction movies, and we are used to interacting with ChatGPT and Gemini and whatnot. So this is still interesting to see that cutting edge space exploration is still relying on the pre-AI era. Maybe this also results that the missions were conceived and planned before AI came around. Is this maybe one of the reasons?
Yes, but another reason for that is that space components are not yet capable, as far as I know, to embark very heavy softwares.
Yeah,
we don't have enough memory on board.
Yeah.
Because the memories have to be space qualified memories, so they are by definition bigger because they have to be radiation resistant.
Proof.
And they need more space between the cells so that if they get hit by radiation, there is it doesn't burn a bigger area than it should.
Sorry if I'm getting into too much detail, but to your knowledge, because we all know on our computers how much hard drive space we have, how much internal memory we have. So how does that compare to a spacecraft? How much gigabytes of RAM does a spacecraft have?
Should look it up. I have to say.
No, you don't have
this.
to. I can.
But I can tell you, I just noted down a couple of numbers. So, the science, the science that one of the instruments of TGO produces every day is 40 gigabyte.
40 gigabytes.
Yes.
Wow. And these 40 gigabytes need to be transferred to Earth.
They have to be stored first. And I'm going to your question, right? So that's what we have, but I can look it up. It's an interesting question, and I can tell you, and it's known that our spacecraft have a capacity that is computational capacity that is way lower than our old Nokia.
Still, this is interesting because decades have passed ever since. So it's interesting to see that still the hardware capabilities are not that impressive because they are not needed, maybe.
Yeah, it's a bit of also, the robustness of, you don't change things that work. And to qualify space hardware takes a lot of time and energy and money.
Yeah.
So, and also we are flying the same onboard computer for 20 years now because there's not yet a newly qualified onboard computer for space.
Is this actually a proprietary language operating system? I think it's not iOS, it's not OS X, it's not Linux, it's not Windows.
Ada. No, it's Ada or
Ada.
Ada, yeah. Ada for the layers of the software that are more closer to the machine.
Yeah.
And for the more abstract layer, you have C C++.
Okay.
You don't go to MATLAB. It's too heavy computationally.
Wow,
It occupies too
fantastic.
much space.
Talking about space, and so now let's assume in 2028. When will the landing happen? 2028 is the launch, right?
Yeah, we'll land in 2030. It takes 2 years.
Exactly. So 2030 landing, 7 minutes of terror, touchdown, ground module has landed safely. What next?
The landing module performs autonomous operations, mostly autonomous operations, until the rover is so to say, in a self-sufficient state.
Mm-hmm.
So it is able to generate energy and communicate to.
The rover has
the
solar
TGO.
panels.
Yes.
Contrary to the landing module.
But the solar panels of the rover, in order to deploy, they need the lander module ramps and the landing module antenna boom to be deployed. Otherwise, they interfere mechanically.
Could this hardware, the lander or the rover, technically communicate with other live NASA hardware on Mars? Or is it a different system, a different language, not intended?
They could, but they don't have the database to talk to each other, let's say. So the other landers wouldn't know what to do with they couldn't even start establishing the communication because they don't have the command to tell the other, hey, I'm here, right?
Help me.
No, listen to me, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because every spacecraft have a spacecraft ID. So the decoder on board, either landed assets or orbiting assets, they only process things that have this key inside.
Fascinating. Okay, now we have green light. The lander module gives green light for rover deployment. What's the mission of the rover, and what kind of instrumentation does the rover have on board?
So our mission finishes as Darmstadt, European Control Center for ExoMars Rosalind Franklin mission, ends when the landing platform dies. Right?
Very jolly.
Yes. Now, it's important to note that the rover operations are now completely on even the egress of the rover from the surface platform is now completely in the hands of the control center of the rover that is called ROC, Rover Operations Control Center, located in Turin, in Halted. So we, as a center, will relay information, telemetry, and telecommands, because in our control center we also have a special data systems that is called ERCO, European Relay Coordination Office, which is the network, the node through which telemetry and telecommand pass for the Mars network when they aim at communicating through TGO, Trust Case Orbiter. So if the ROC wants to send the command to the rover, that will arrive here in ESOC through this node, eventually will be uploaded on TGO, and TGO will then send it down to the rover. Vice versa, telemetry of the rover will be returned from TGO, which will downlink those from TGO. Then once here in ESOC, they will be routed through ERCO to the rock. But us, as a flight control team of Rosalind Franklin, we will not be involved anymore.
Wow.
And so, the science that the rover will do, it will take something like 10 days to egress from the platform.
10 days.
10 days. It would be a very slow thing. They have to make sure not to break anything while they get out. They have to make sure that they can get out from either of the two sides of the rover. The least hazardous path will be chosen, and then it's
So does that mean you get an actual image, an onboard camera image of the two exit points, and then a team of engineers comes together and analyzes that image meticulously and then decides which way to go?
Yes.
Okay.
And then once the rover is out, it will have another bit less than 200 sols of science. And that will constitute into moving, like mobility, so analyzing the surrounding with cameras, with panoramic cameras. Then once at the place where they want to be, they will analyze with a radar under the surface where the best is to drill. And
they have a drill on board.
Yes, they have the most special drill ever designed on board.
Tell me about it.
It's a crazy one. I am an operations manager.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I will tell you what I know about it.
You tell me what you know, but you're not responsible if it's wrong because it's not your job. I completely understand.
Yeah, so you can also, in that case, there are very cool videos online. But it's like it's a set of 5 rods. So the drill will drill up to 2 meters under the surface.
Wow.
Right? But it's not like the first thing you might think of is that, it's a telescopic mechanism. The rods will be then mounted. Instead, it's like how do you call it? A gun, the thing which contains the bullet. The
barrel.
The barrel, right? It's a barrel with 5 rods, and they will be like while the thing goes down, they will be mounted one on top of the other. And but so the reason why this drill is so special is because we reach depth that were never reached before. And it's not just going deep for the sake of it. I mean, it's not a competition who drills the furthest deeper. No, it's about going to a depth that allows to have material that wasn't exposed to solar radiation.
Wow.
Because that's where you have the highest probability of finding biomarkers.
Wow.
So we have a radar that can scan down to 3 meters. From above, and then they will find the place where to drill. Then the drill the final tip of the drill has got like a hole, so it will collect the sample. Then when it retracts, the sample will be dropped into a tray, and this tray will be then retracted, and then the in situ the laboratory, the analysis laboratory will process the material. Another very special thing that is on board our rover, and that makes this rover still the top-notch technology so far, is that it will be able to process those samples in a different way than what other rovers did in the past. Instead of by heating the material, they will use a special laser that doesn't it allows to bypass the the generation of chlorine, and that was those are oxidants, chlorine oxidants that would otherwise contaminate the analysis.
This is so utterly fascinating. Thank you for sharing all this, because it's not only mind-blowing, it shows the ingenuity of where engineering and science can go, and also the ingenuity of collaboration and the potential of collaboration if people work together. And this is something I ideally appreciate and respect in the scientific discourse, that if there is a goal, no matter where you come from, the likelihood is pretty high that people from different backgrounds will surround themselves and work together toward that goal. This is beautiful. And this is something that we would so dearly need for whatever is happening on Earth right now.
Oh, yes.
But
in the end, when people have that those are, like team building activities. What are they? We get together and we do an activity that we like to do. And that, by doing that, you get along better when you then have to face serious situations. We don't get to play with each other anymore. We don't face each other anymore.
Exactly. We don't even talk to one another anymore. Take a look at how kids communicate these days. It's all about messenger services. You don't call your friend anymore. You communicate via voice notes.
Yeah.
So it's a different way of.
Yeah, so it reminds me of when, when dogs are the typical thing, two dogs behind the fence, they bark, they bark at each other, and when the fence is gone, they're right, actually.
Exactly.
Right? And,
I love that. Yeah.
And that's what we do. I mean, there is so much more in communication beyond text, beyond a smiley. That is the voice, the tone of your voice, the expression in your face, the gestures, your body language. We're missing that. That's why it's still important to go in-person meetings. Okay, it's not very sustainable on an environmental perspective, but keeps us humans.
Tell me, what is it that you're mostly proud of in your workplace? What you're taking away from the resilience, the project management skills, whatever. What is it that you learn from this kind of mindset that you just mentioned for the rest of your life?
So, well, I'm not sure I understood very well your question. Can you rephrase it?
Sure. So, for example, at my workplace, many, many years ago, I went through the ringer of news journalism, and I had to be very resilient when it comes to very strict timelines. I had to be on air by the second in television and radio. So I learned lots of resilience through this, and not much can really get my nerves into turbo mode. So I learned a lot through that. So the question to you is, what did you learn? What are you taking away from this mindset that you just, and this modus operandi that you just described?
Working in operations is a place where, by definition, you have to become resilient to stress. But that's not just controlling your emotions. Is about getting trained for that. It's about preparing. So if you studied very well for your exam, you're less stressed than if you didn't prepare at all, right? And so it's all about preparation on our side. Preparation of in terms of technical outputs, but also in terms of working together. And so we rehearse a lot this working together. And that's I mean, the most beautiful thing of spacecraft operations is that you get, yes, to pilot very complex machines, but you do it with other people, physically with other people. You are in the same room. You're playing with a game together. You're playing a game together.
This is very interesting. Is this team, who puts a team together? Is a team put together based on skills, or is it also put together based on chemistry?
So this is a very tricky question, Marcus, because we are entering a realm. So I can tell you what I would like and what I try to do, but we are entering the realm of the legal boundary that doesn't allow me to choose a person, because we are in a service. Like, we're exploiting the service contracts. So I can say I need whatever power engineer. They will provide it to me, but I am not the one who can say, okay, this person yes or not. So I can't really interview them. But back in the days in which that was possible, still, I saw that when character of the people was taken into account, things were going much better. But even then, like, okay, now I think this is a more interesting bit to your question. That is, rarely, if you're open to the other people, if you work together regularly, you don't manage to get along well. Because, I mean, yes, there are cases in which people are particularly, let's say, unsuited to work in a team, but those people themselves wouldn't really put themselves into the situation of being in a flight control team. There are several types of roles that you can cover in ESA. There are more, let's say, mathematicians roles that are more solitary, have more solitary functions. But as a flight control team, you are meant to work together. It's in the interest of everybody that everybody can work together. So you have to be, like, working together on a daily basis also helps you realizing what are the weaknesses, but also the strength of the others. So when you are in a deep, like in a very big problem, you're it's like when you know very well your friends, who you can call when you have a problem, or on the other, and vice versa. If there is a very bad situation, and you know that this person cannot cope with that, or they rather not cope with that, why to expose them to that? It's like we work in a team. It sounds silly to say, but in the literal way, we work as a team, and we don't, and that's actually I can abstract a bit, right? So what we are doing at mission level is what ESA is doing at higher level. We are constantly cooperating. If you look at the history of other space agencies, they do things by themselves mostly. We seek for cooperation, even inside ESA. If we would have even like when we have solely European missions, we are a federation of states. Like we are a collective organism.
What is the secret sauce behind that? Because this is, it's my personal mission to find solutions also for any walks of governmental or societal interaction, just as you described, that we're lacking the ability to cooperate, or we increasingly lacking. So what is the secret sauce behind this way of conduct in ESA? Why is that so?
It's a bit a necessary thing that you have to do, but as if you abstract behind every human interaction, there is a need for a resource. So you need to allocate resources to that. It doesn't come for free. I mean, asking to your colleague how they are doing in a sincere way doesn't come for free. It comes with being ready to receive.
An honest reply.
An honest reply, not just, how are you doing? Yeah, how are you doing? And that's it. So the reason why I think, well, this is my honest opinion, the reason why we're moving away from social interactions is because it takes too much effort. And we're not ready for that. And in the industrial field, and even here, the longer the more, it's like we have less time, even as managers, less and less time to dedicate to the human resources, which are instead so precious.
Thank you for sharing that. This is a very personal and a very personal insight into your world, into how ESA works. You wouldn't easily find on the internet. So thank you for sharing that.
That's how I work, and that's how I like to see. I mean, that's what I think it happens in my floor, in my like in my division. And but I mean, the visitors we had who had a bit of insight in ESA, they noticed that this is not really a very formal work environment. It's a nice place to be in.
What up next after this mission? I mean, like, you have a couple of years still to be on that mission, to be, what is the proper title? It's the mission conductor?
No, I am mission operations manager.
Mission operations manager.
So
right.
basically, yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So it's so I'm the ultimate responsible for the safety of the spacecraft while it's flying.
For those 2.5 years.
Yes.
Are you looking forward to that?
Yes. Yes, really looking forward to that. Still a lot of things to do. Also looking forward to those. So I'm enjoying the journey, let's say.
Fantastic. Speaking of journey, would you, Sara, be ready to go on a mission to Mars, to the moon, or whatever, if the call came and someone asked you, hey, we got a seat, do you want to come with us?
You know that there were vacancies for astronauts positions a couple of years ago? Like ESA was recruiting, eh?
ESA was recruiting, right. There was this cohort they were recruiting 2 years ago.
I didn't put my candidacy forward, no.
Why not?
Because I am scared to fly. I am, those people who study medicine and then get super scared of living because they see microbes everywhere. And so since I finished aerospace engineering, I started to be scared of flying on airplanes.
Is that good or bad? I mean, like, for our audience, I mean, like, you know all about flying and engineering, and you're scared about it. So maybe that's not a good sign.
Aircrafts are the most the safest means of transportation on Earth so far, statistically speaking. But knowing what is how they are, like, what's in, so knowing how they work, knowing what can go wrong, I just think too much. I don't enjoy the experience. And also, I don't know. I like being here. To be honest, I am. Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see another planet, but not really to be there. Considering that so far, what we know is that they are barren environments.
Hostile, not welcoming,
and also barren. Yeah, like there's nothing so far.
What's your hunch? Will we see? We may see human boots on the ground in the next 10 years, maybe on Mars.
10 years.
Maybe. What do you think?
It's 2025. Nah.
Not? Okay.
I don't know. Maybe Elon surprises us. But so far, the technology that needs to be carried there to be able to have human exploration is gonna have to be tested first on the moon.
Speaking of technology, that was interesting. I just got back from a visit at SpaceX's headquarters in Hawthorne in Los Angeles, which was fantastic.
Cool.
For many reasons. Irrespective what you may think about the rich person behind it. But the thing in itself is fantastic. So, but then I asked a question where I didn't get a satisfactory answer. And that question is, now, SpaceX are all in the game of getting the vehicle ready to transport people or cargo to the moon, to Mars, or wherever. But then what? Who actually develops infrastructure for Mars? Who develops habitat? Who develops radiation shielding? Because, I mean, like, from a newsworthiness perspective, it sounds great that Elon plans to get people, I think, even by 2033 to Mars. So this makes a good headline. But I'm just asking the realistic question behind it. Where will those people live on Mars, and who develops those habitats?
Yeah, that's why.
Do you have any intel?
No, hence my reply before. So I was thinking more broadly about, well, yeah, then what I don't know. I mean, it's not
about the vehicle.
So far, yeah. So far, what my intel is from researching and what I know about it is that there are some key pieces of technology that need to be demonstrated first by NASA on the moon.
Yeah.
And so we need missions to the moon. Missions to the moon are not going to be like in terms of landing. So the Artemis program has been. I mean, we don't know what happens. Yeah, because we
do not know where Artemis is. Yeah, Elon doesn't want it. Donald Trump maybe also doesn't want it because they all want to go to Mars. So Artemis is up in the air, as far as I understand.
I don't know. I mean, it's like right now anything that involves space and our American colleagues is so volatile and unstable that I can't say. So, as I said, maybe Elon decides to develop everything by himself, and it's possible. But there are many bricks that need to be built, leading to humans on Mars.
Yeah. Well, I keep repeating myself to my audience, I think, but I think one of the major problems that is completely unsolved is the radiation shielding, because we heard already on that podcast, on that show, from Roberto, no, not Roberto Tamai. Who was it again? Doesn't matter. Luciano, yes.
Luciano, yes.
Luciano, yes, from the Saturn missions.
Yeah.
And so he said that the radiation problem is scientifically not even solved yet. So we're not even talking about engineering. So there is no science behind it. You would need to wrap a Starship or whatever kind of spacecraft into a body of water. At least, and if you don't want to bring a body of water to wrap your spacecraft into, what else? So, I mean, like if a senior scientist says this is not solved from the ground up, I'm really wondering how do we, or what solutions do we have in place in case we want to go in 2023? So maybe it's just a headline.
Yes. Super fascinating, all of this. I mean, I'm constantly out of my depth in these deeply science things. Deep science things. I mean, I'm an engineer. So.
Anyway, Sara, provided you weren't afraid of flying, this is a question I keep asking all my guests. If you were traveling, how many months is it again to Mars in an ideal situation?
6 months.
Good. Traveling for 6 months is still half a year, and half a year is still a long time. What is the one piece of music you would not want to miss on that very long journey? You can pick one because we have a playlist on Spotify for the aspiring space traveler.
David Bowie.
Which one?
The
Major Tom?
No.
Now you're making me curious.
Life on Mars.
Fantastic. This is not even taken. Life on Mars. This is so obvious. Fantastic. Okay, this one you would bring. Great. And then my last question to you, Sara. I challenge you to share an espresso or cafe, as you would say, for the mind with me, with the audience. A shot of inspiration where you feel this could energize our audiences when listening to it. And you can pick whatever kind of topic you want to pick. A shot of inspiration where you feel like this is energizing and inspiring for our listeners.
In my field, right?
Whatever.
I can, propose you something, then you can discuss it, right? That we are going to... I sound such a boomer if I say this. We are... So we are moving at a decent pace towards automation, towards optimization. Everything ends with Asian, right? And we go towards artificial intelligence, and we are trying to get machines to do the job for us so that we can focus on more important things. We shouldn't stop thinking in the process, because if we stop using our brain, just like everything else in our body, it will atrophize. And it's so nice to have machines doing things for us, and like being like hands off. But there is kind of a fun part and such a rewarding part in doing things with other people, like in working physically and in person with other people, even if that's a silly task, even if it's a repetitive task, even if it's something that a machine could do much better than us. Like, it's the playing part that we're missing. It's not that sustainable for me to thrive all the time and put ourselves under so much pressure that we forget that we're also humans, and we need to step back a second and look around us. Who is there? How are they doing? And so that's my piece of inspiration. It's a bit long and convoluted, I guess.
No, this is fantastic, Sara. You're making me very happy. What a brilliant conversation. Thanks for taking that time with me here on the show.
Thanks.
What a mission. It's all about resilience. It's all about learning how to not go crazy. It's a lot about how to build up frustration tolerance. I love the story, and this is what exploration is all about. If you, my friends, are with me on this ride, and I guess you really are because you're still listening to this, thank you, by the way, for your loyalty and for your enthusiasm. By the way, if you want to share something with us, please do so at podcast@SpaceWatch.Global. Even if you want to suggest a guest for the show, please do so. Write into us or recommend the show to someone who you think could be interested in that next leap humans are currently taking. Yeah, so thanks for taking the time. Thanks for listening. And catch you in 2 weeks from now with a very special episode. Actually, it's a two-parter with a mind-blowingly interesting person. So stay curious, stay tuned. Bye-bye.